You are listening to All Burgundy and Gold, everything with the urban sports scene on Fox Sports Radio, 96.9 FM and 1340 AM, Hopewell, Virginia. Wole, Ray, and Mo are your hosts. Also, we have Eddie from the Average Sports Guys podcast on the show. What's up, Eddie? And welcome to All Burgundy and Gold, everything with the urban sports scene.
Hey, what's going on?
Good to have you on, man. Look, you got the D voice. Hey, what's
Eddie,
going
real
on?
cool.
I know, right? Look.
Up,
hey, what's going on? You know what I mean?
Eddie, you gotta drop an everything for me, man.
Hey, drop us an everything, man. Give us an everything.
Everything.
Still got swag.
He got swag. Eddie got swag, bro. I love it, man. I love it.
That's what's up.
I love it. Hey, so Eddie, before we continue, before we go on, can you tell our listeners about your podcast?
Yeah. First and foremost, thanks for having me on. But yeah, so I'm on the Average Sports Guys podcast. I have two other co-hosts with me. We try to cover the whole entire league, but we primarily are really NFC East driven. My co-host Marcus, he's a big time Eagles fan, so you know we poo-poo on him all the time. My boy Adam, he's a big time Washington fan. So again, we primarily just cover the NFC East, but we try to get around the league, but it's strictly NFL. Awesome.
Like, so you don't cover anything, in terms of, so everybody dislikes the Giants on your base, I'm guessing, and the Cowboys?
Yeah.
Okay. Mo, I'm sorry.
Hey, Eddie. Hey, Eddie, you got this one. Make sure I'm on your show come January.
Hey, man, we'll get you on for sure.
You got to have like an NFL draft special because the NFC East, it could be three teams in the division picking at the top.
Hey, Ray, continue with the Spotify stuff, man.
Subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. Of course, just search All Burgundy and go everything with 3 R's. Also tweet us at Urban Sports Scene and hit us up on our Urban Sports Scene Facebook page, baby.
All right, it's time for the pregame. Here's what we have on tap. We'll recap the Washington football team getting killed by the Buffalo Bills 23-21 and their upcoming game against the Atlanta Falcons. Later on, we'll have Antoine Smith from Smitty's Sports Machine podcast to give us some information on the Falcons. He's out there in the A. He covers that team on a regular.
Call him Smitty.
I said Smitty. I know. Right here. Oh, okay. Smitty. I'm sorry.
It's
Smitty.
all good, though.
All right. All right. Sunday, the Washington football team got squashed by the Bills 43-21. Do you think this team was properly prepared for this game, Eddie?
Out the gate, it didn't look like it, right? You saw that first drive defensively. Buffalo just did what they wanted. You would have to say they just weren't prepared, and it's inexcusable seeing as they had 10 days, because they had just played on Thursday night.
Yes.
They just were slow and just lost. So no, I definitely wouldn't say they were prepared.
So do you think this coaching staff is arrogant in this aspect? Because at times it just seems like, I stole yours, Ray. See what I did there, right? It's arrogant because at times it just seems like this team, they refuse to change whatever. So they want to stick to their guns. Do you feel they're arrogant? They think their system is just the best system in the world?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you would have to think that there's some level of arrogance, right? It almost seems like Del Rio is refusing to mix up things and get exotic. I mean, you have Jamin Davis, who's a young rookie who, has got a lot to learn, but I think he can track the ball well. Get him in there on some blitzes, disguise some things up. It just was very vanilla. And even listening to Ron Rivera's post-game press conference and then some of the media stuff he's done yesterday and today, there is a level of, just kind of our way's going to work, so to speak, but through 3 weeks, they're definitely not showing that it's working. So I would fully expect them to, put aside that arrogance and draw up something to, it just is bad.
Hey, Eddie, real quick, watching the Monday night game, seeing Micah Parsons, did that drive the knife a bit deeper in the hearts of Washington fans?
Yes.
Yes, I know.
Man.
It sure did.
It's crazy.
Seeing him fly around is like, oh my God. And it's like his natural ability is just ridiculous. I mean, you could clearly still see that he's raw and he's got a lot to learn, but you can't teach those instincts that he has, you know. And I remember going into the draft and he was like there and available. And then I was like, are we going to do it? We're going to move up. Like, what are we going to, when he went to Dallas, I said, oh my God. So I was just hoping, I was like, maybe he'll get some drug suspensions or something, you know, but so far, you know, he's just,
hey, listen,
yeah,
you seen Hard Knocks, he was eating mac and cheese. I'm like, hold up now, he not eating too good. Maybe he just might come out, you know, not in the best shape, but man, it has to suck for Washington football team fans to see that, and to the Cowboys at that, man. I don't care. I don't have a dog in that fight, but for you guys, I feel your pain.
Yeah, for sure.
Mo, you next. You on top.
By the way, baby.
I see it, bro. I see. Put that thing down. Mo, you up next, bro.
Hey, is the defense capable of being good, or have the fans overrated them? I know who has.
Shots fired. I see you, Mo. I see the shake.
I see you, bro.
I see you. Go, hey, Eddie. Take that question, please.
Yeah. So through 3 weeks, it's definitely looking like they're overrated. I mean, I know clearly towards the end of last year, you know, I think most Washington fans were drinking the Kool-Aid all off season for sure, right? You know, thinking another year in the system for all of them together, especially that front four, all those first round draft picks, all that stuff. I'm to the point I don't want to hear nothing about no damn first round draft picks.
Facts.
These dudes have to pin their ears back and get after the quarterback. I mean, they basically advertised all offseason, our front four can get to the quarterback. And I guess that leads to why they feel they didn't have to do anything exotic. But no, I mean, I think they have the talent to be good. I think going into the season, especially once our schedule came out, right? And you see you're playing Patrick Mahomes and Herbert and Allen and some of the better quarterbacks, your rating is going to drop, right? So I think fans should have had that expectation, but to just look as flat and terrible as we have, I don't know if they can turn it around, but it's got to start this weekend.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, to your point about this defense, you know, this is the thing. I'm done with talk. Like, I don't need talk. I mean, Chase talking about at the end of the game, talking about he's going to check folks. I don't need that. Like I love Chase. So this is not me. I'm not the Chase hater, but I just don't need talk. Like, I feel like that's a problem. Like, action is everything. Like, don't worry about, somebody ain't holding their own, they joking around, I'm gonna check them. Screw that, bro. On the field, that's what the fans want to see. We don't care what's happening behind the scenes. Let's see all that talking on the field. Let's see action with that talking, and then everything be all right. But I don't need no talk. The talk is done.
I said last year.
Here you go, bro.
I said all offseason.
I said all season. He also said the Giants gonna be good too. But go ahead, continue.
To be determined. I said all offseason, Eddie. Right? I said all offseason.
Can't get no worse than that.
To answer the overrated part of the question, I said all offseason, the worst thing that happened to this team was that bad of a team last year made the playoffs, right?
I agree.
Because I think one thing that people didn't want to look at last year was, I mean, even though Washington had their own quarterback issues, Washington didn't face any premier quarterbacks that they beat.
No.
They lost to Kyler. They lost to Baker.
Big Ben don't count?
They beat Big Ben. They beat Big Ben. Remember, that was my first episode, and I got the first prediction wrong. They beat Big Ben. They beat Big Ben. They lost. They beat the Cowboys.
Yeah, they don't count.
Without Dak. They lost to the Lions. They beat Joe Burrow. They beat the Cowboys again.
They injured Joe
Burrow.
Beat
Big Ben. They beat Nick Mullins. And then they beat Jalen Hurts. So
no, not really.
Not really. They took him out.
they beat whoever Nick Sudfeld.
Yes, they was better.
Nate
Sudfeld from Indiana.
That's better.
So what I was afraid of was that this defense would have been on a high horse, thinking that they were similar to one of those great defenses because they ranked number 2 in the league. But when I saw that win streak, I saw that they weren't playing any elite quarterbacks. And as soon as the schedule came out this year, that's the first thing I noted was that they have like 4 MVP caliber or former MVP type quarterbacks on the roster, on the schedule, on top of Daniel Jones, who always plays good against them, on top of Dak coming back this year, right? On top of Josh Allen being a runner-up last year. That's the first thing I saw on the schedule, was that this defense was going to have to play a lot tougher competition this year. And I think that's what we're seeing this so far this year, is that they're being outmatched. They're being
outcoached. That's just call it what it is. They're being outcoached.
It wasn't bad coaching last year with inferior players.
No, but you change things around. You change, like, or you brought in different people. Mo, you said this argument too, so we got to keep the argument consistent. You said the argument of you bring in Willie Jackson, you're bringing in new players. So when you bring in new players, you got to fit them to your system. You can't stay the same. So if you're going to bring in new players and you're going to change your system, there's not the same players they had last season. Cam Curl isn't playing every down. They're rotating safeties with McCain and everything. So if you're going to have new players, have them all fit your system. The system's not going to work if it doesn't fit the system. If your players don't fit the system. You have players, then utilize it to the best of the new system.
I would argue that they're trying to play to their personnel this year.
Why? No, they're not, because they have. I saw the Giants game. They had William Jackson bail and play off. He's a press corner. That's not playing to your system. So I'm just saying, if we're going to say, like, you said this, I'm actually using your argument. What you said.
No, I understand. I understand where you're going because I broached the subject, right?
Yeah.
But 1 in 11 people on the defense, you can't change everything for.
You change it, but you got to change it. You brought Landon back. There's so many things you got. Like, if you Landon was struggling prior.
Landon was there. Landon
was struggling prior. Like, so he was struggling. So if you want that too, Landon was struggling when he was here. But you want to have Landon as a starter, right? Cam Curl and Reeves were the starters, and they played the system right. You want Landon to start. You're a Giants fan. How do you play Landon? You don't play him covering. You put him in a box. Yeah. Right? Like, Eddie, you know what I'm saying? Like, you put him in the box. So you're not even coaching. You're not even utilizing what you have for what your talent is. Like, you're not putting the system in the talent.
It's a new batch.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
You're picking and choosing 1 and 2 players.
That's what I'm saying.
It's a new batch that has to play together, right?
Together. It's all unison. You coach defense. It's all unison. It's all unison.
They have to work in unison.
What you do as a coach.
Can I just say this real quick? I just want to say this. I hear what you're saying, and it's true. There has been a step up in competition, but they did play Stafford, Lamar. They played Baker Mayfield last year. They played some good quarterbacks. No, true, but it wasn't this bad. That's my thing. It was not this bad. It was competitive, and folks were saying, and we agree, if they had offense, they would probably be better off. But now this defense, I mean, these opening drives just march down the field with no resistance. Like, it's shocking. Mm-hmm. It's shocking to see the drop off. I hear what you're saying about the quarterback competition, but when they played the good guys last season, they did lose. You're right, but they weren't looking as like bad as they're looking now.
They weren't like this bad.
That's where I think coaching comes in. You don't agree with that?
I'll take that.
I'm just asking. Like this has been 31st in total defense. It's crazy.
It's crazy because they even had
nobody else in the field.
It's really the reverse of last year. Top 2 to bottom 2.
Yes.
Right.
Facts, bro. Facts.
Right. That's crazy. That's my point.
No, that's insane. That's insane. I just think that
I can't figure it out.
A lot of the key pieces that were added this year, like William Jackson was hurt most of camp.
Yeah.
I think I knew that stylistically that they paid him a lot of money if they weren't going to do what he does. Cincinnati basically let him do what he needed to do on one side of the field and let everybody else play zone.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Like you have to be that. You have to be that kind of creative. But it seems like Jack Del Rio is just sticking to what he knows.
Yes.
And he's playing, and he's playing that way, whether or not the offenses are scoring 12 or 43.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, so if I could jump in, so we've seen this same thing in Washington year in and year out, right? It almost doesn't matter who the coordinator is. Like, we may get excited because this individual is a coordinator. And then we think like, okay, well, we know our players, you know, because they've been here. This guy comes in, so we say, okay, man, they should be able to eat in a 3-4 or 4-3 or whatever. You know, Arrogant should be able to do this and that. And then they come in and we're watching. I mean, we're not coaches. They probably forgot more football than I'll ever know.
Facts,
and I'm sitting here saying, you know, run a stunt, like do something, like, you know, these same two little bull rush moves ain't gonna do nothing. And so fast forward, here we are under Del Rio, and you're seeing the exact same thing. I forgot who made the point earlier, but when Reeves and Curl were in last year, there seemed to be a better continuity and chemistry there. With Landon, you're absolutely right. You play him in the box. So at this point, if he's going to still be on my team, I got to try him out at safety, or excuse me, at linebacker, especially with that whole core just playing like some cheeks. Because if he wants to play, I don't care whether he wants to be there or not. Like, look, dude, we got you up here. This is your strength. We're going to put you in this linebacking position and rotate McCann. And that dude is a thumper, but you only see him 2 or 3 decent plays per game. And then it's like, where the hell is he at? You know, and Curl flies around and all that. So I would try different combinations back there. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think to answer the original point of, are they overrated? I don't know that they're overrated. I think with coaching, not putting them in the best position. And then also, I don't know what's up with that front four, but they don't seem like collectively as a unit, they're really trying to get after the ball. You know?
When I saw it in the Buffalo game, I seen a lot of Chase Young and Montez Sweat. It seemed like they were trying to force the issue, right? And they were kind of taking away, not even kind of, they were taken away from the interior pass rush.
Oh yeah.
They were taken because they were so wide up the field, or they were so wild with the pass rush moves, right? That they weren't allowing the pocket to collapse. Right. It's like everybody was trying to be Superman rather than holding down their fort and where they need to be and letting the line as a collective get to Josh Allen, right? We've seen in the past weeks, where's most of the pressure come from? The interior. Jonathan Allen is off to a great start this year. The other, Ioannidis has got a sack or a sack and a half. He's disruptive. I know he was out this week, right? Yeah. And we know the plethora of guys that they can come in there. I haven't heard from Daron Payne all year. He's next up to get paid, right? So it's something there as to why Chase was so frustrated on those things. But I think Chase also needs to develop a counter move. Yes. He needs to develop something other than what it is that he's doing. Although he's a second pick in the draft and like, you know, he's the hot name. The best pass rusher on his team is Montez Sweat. He's the most consistent. I think he's got one every game so far. So whatever's happening to Chase on his side, whatever they're doing to him on his side, he's not his latter part of the year last year effective self.
Yeah. Well, so I did
costing the team right now.
Yeah, so I did read today. They were saying, I guess when Ron Rivera went back and was watching the film, he noticed when Chase, like, you know, he'll do this stutter step with his move.
Yeah, he doesn't go hard. Yeah.
Right. But when he stutters and then kind of stops, that's where he gets shut down. But if he, you know, engages and he keeps his feet moving, he could do that little move and kind of get around. So I'm hoping they kind of tweak something there. But I mean, he definitely needs to develop a counter move. The only one consistently that I see, and he's not on this team, are pretty much the Bosa brothers, who are just going to muscle you straight back.
That's what I was about to say. I haven't seen too many power rush moves from Chase this year.
Right.
I haven't seen it. And I don't understand why I haven't seen it, because that's a big part of his arsenal.
Yeah.
That makes him, you know, that 265 hat on hat, getting off the block, shedding the block, and then using his athleticism to chase down stuff and, you know, and keep stuff right there in the mud. So I'm very interested in seeing how they go forward, what the coaching points are going to be the next couple of weeks, and how they adjust. Because if no adjustments are made, the next 5 games, there's no rodeo.
I know you can't help but look at the schedule. I said that on our other show. You're listening to All Burgundy Go, Errrything with Urban Sports Scene. We're currently chatting with Eddie from the Average Sports Guy podcast. Let's jump right into this upcoming game against the Falcons. What does the Washington football team have to do to beat a team that is struggling as well in the Atlanta Falcons? Eddie, we'll start with you.
I would say scoring on the opening drive for us is because if you go back and you look at Rivera, so was he coached like 20 games? We've been behind in 80% of those games off the first drive. So I think that is a huge momentum switch. So if they can score first, but not only that, this team, I think, ranks 29th so far in third and long of getting folks off the field. So our defense has to dig their heels in and get the Falcons off the field. If they go down and do anything close to what Buffalo did, it's going to be a long day. But I think it starts on that initial opening drive. They've got to score, and then they've got to stop.
So Eddie, would you say it's a must win?
Yeah, I did tweet that earlier. I say it's a must win. I haven't really decided if it's more or less for the fans, because you know us, like, we're ready to burn the city down. There's a lot of football left, so like statistically, if they drop this game, no, I don't think it's the end of the road. But you want to try to keep pace with what what the Cowboys are doing, right? So if they can get this win, I think it'll be huge, and they're sitting right there in the mix. So yes, the short answer, I think it's a must win.
Okay.
It's definitely a must win.
Yeah.
The Saints are coming to town. Patrick Mahomes follows. Aaron Rodgers. Who's after Aaron Rodgers? Goodness gracious. And Matt Ryan, right? Yeah. That's the four. And Josh, the JV part of the season is over, right? Daniel Jones, and even though Herbert's a dog, JV part of the season is over. Washington wants to win this game. They have to run the football, gentlemen. Have to run the football. They have to commit to running the ball. Atlanta, you can't name nobody on Atlanta's defense right now except for Deion Jones. Right?
I'm not going to go there.
All right. Well, Eddie, before we have to let you go, can you let our listeners know how they can catch your podcast and also how they can catch you on social media?
Yeah, for sure. So we're everywhere you can find your podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast. Like we're literally everywhere. We actually have a website, averagesportsguys.com. The links to all of our social medias are there. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. On Twitter, you can find us at Average Sports G1. But yeah, so we're always out. We're on YouTube as well, Average Sports Guys. We try to put out a weekly show, depending on schedules and things of that nature. But yeah, that's where you can find us. But check us out, averagesportsguys.com. Hit the website. Bro. Everything else will take care of itself.
All right. So on YouTube, I'm gonna check you out on YouTube. I'm gonna subscribe to you. Okay.
All right, man. Appreciate
it. I got you. Hey, so I'm gonna make sure you do that. I'm gonna subscribe to you subscribe to your podcast. So you're already set. All right, got you. All right, you set, bro. You set. All right. When we return, we'll chat with Antoine Smith, aka Smitty, right? AKA Smitty, host of Smitty Sports Machine Podcast.
All right, fam. Unfortunately, my man Smitty, he could not make it on the show. Unexpected issue came up with him. We hope all is well. But hey, listen, you got the Falcon fan right here. We can discuss this. Wole, listen, Mo, the Falcons, Mo, your Giants, and the Washington football team, we are rooting for three teams that are struggling right now. I'm not gonna call it bad teams, but right now they're not playing the best football.
Mine is bad.
I feel like it's a perfect storm for Washington to meet Atlanta this week, because Atlanta's third down offense is not good. They started off the Giants game with four straight punts. Could not necessarily pick up the shortest third downs. We're talking 3rd and 3s, 3rd and 4s. Cordell Patterson has been their best receiver through 3 weeks. It says a lot. The offensive line is not necessarily blocking well. The Giants had a lot of opportunities to actually win that game. And then on Washington's side, of course, we already talked about the defense not able to stop teams on third down. Something's going to have to give this weekend. Wole, what are you expecting from a Washington defensive standpoint going against Matt Ryan, who can get the ball out quickly, similar to like a Justin Herbert?
I expect if it stays the same, you get the same outcome is going to happen. They continue to stay the same in terms of their defensive scheme. It's the same that's going to happen. You have a guy in Calvin Ridley who's one of the better young wide receivers in the game. And what you've seen over the last 3 weeks from opposing wide receivers, the number ones, you've seen what Keenan Allen has done. Even Galladay did work. You know what I mean? Not probably to the impact of Shepard, but he did work as a number one wide receiver. And then you saw what Stephon Diggs did with Buffalo. So now you're seeing another number one in Calvin Ridley. So to me, if you're going to have the same system, this is a guy, to me, if you're a fantasy football owner and you have Calvin Ridley in your team, hey, you better make sure he's in the starting lineup against his football team if everything stays the same, if they don't make any changes. And then you obviously got the beast out there in Kyle Pitts. And everybody knows how much I love Kyle Pitts. He's an animal to me. I don't care what his stats are. I really don't care. You know what he is. He's a dog. So that's a player that they should be scared about. At this particular point in time, the Washington football team defense is that type of defense that when an opposing quarterback or opposing wide receiver, opposing tight end, when they look at that unit, they're like, oh, I'm about to get right. Like, I'm about to get right. Like, I can get all my numbers here. Like, I can put my numbers to a point where, okay, I look like I was playing like some garbage, and now I'm looking like I'm elite, and I'm now ready to catapult my season with this momentum upward. So, it's a thing. It's something they're gonna have to change, because right now, if I'm an offensive player, especially if I'm a wide receiver, tight end, quarterback, I'm feeling good when I look at Washington. I'm like, oh, I'm getting numbers today.
Mo,
what was the question again?
It's just, I feel like something has to give with a Falcons team that struggles to convert on third down and a Washington football team defense that struggles to get teams off the field on third down. What do you expect to happen?
That's where my
come
thought
Sunday?
Was. I think I'm the counter to Wole. I think that Washington gets right this game because of the pressure that they can get against that offensive line in Atlanta. I know they're young, and I know that they're not playing their best football right now. Atlanta has a running back by committee situation going with Cordero Patterson, who's a wide receiver, but he's in the mold of Percy Harvin since he came in the league. He's a just get him the ball type of guy.
Yeah. He makes it happen.
Mike Davis is not having the success that he enjoyed in Carolina after Christian McCaffrey went down. And I think a lot of it has to do with the blocking up front. I've seen Matt Ryan under immense pressure, still trying to keep his form, but it's hard when you don't have that. Calvin Ridley's good. He's really good. Kyle Pitts is an immense talent that we haven't seen come to fruition yet. But it's something different when you have 11 on that side right there, and you know that they have to have two safeties high, and it changes the look of the defense, right? Mm-hmm. So I know that Matt Ryan is going through it right now, and I watched him against my team this past weekend, who is supposed to who's supposed to have a good defense, and I think the pressure was getting to him, and we don't even have a pass rusher that's elite compared to what Washington has in the four linemen up front.
You don't like the kid from USC? You don't like USC? You don't like, what's his name? The kid from USC.
I didn't like Leonard Williams.
You don't like Leonard Williams? I love Leonard Williams.
I didn't like Leonard Williams when we traded for him. I didn't like Leonard Williams when we franchised him. I didn't like when we gave him $21 million per year.
All right, I like Leonard Williams. Okay.
A matchup. Go ahead.
When you give somebody $21 million, I need you to be TJ Watt, Aaron Donald type efficiency. You know what I mean? And he ain't it. But we're not talking about that. We get back to this pass rush. I think this pass rush gets right this week because of the inexperience and the youth of Atlanta's
offensive line.
The youth of Atlanta's offensive line.
Very well could happen. A matchup to watch is Zacchaeus versus Kendall Fuller. Zacchaeus had a few key drops. Matt Ryan hit him on the numbers at least twice on slants and just flat out drops in that Giants game. But defensively for Atlanta, they do get after the quarterback. They do blitz. And those linebackers, they're fast. They're going to be coming from everywhere. It's going to be up to Washington's offensive line to keep Heineke upright, to give him time. Heineke's going to use his legs, but that pressure on him, I think, is what's going to ultimately sway the game in favor of Atlanta. But we already know with these two teams struggling, it can go either way. There's no need to talk trash, although I'm not necessarily happy with some of the Washington fans and some of the media who just feel like the Falcons is a shoo-in, and that's insane.
You're making a different narrative because you look at Twitter, everybody's scared of Atlanta.
No. There's a mix. There is a mix. There's like if I want to say no, because I saw our whole thread.
And none but everybody's scared. Everybody's
scared.
Exactly. I'm about to say.
There is that narrative, but a lot of people there's a lot of people that just they just are dismissing the Falcons when Arthur Smith, it's going to take a minute. When Matt Ryan first got into Kyle Shanahan's system, he struggled this first season. They started off 5-0, but they ended like 8-8. So Arthur Smith implementing his offense, which helped turn Tennessee around with those guys that they had those weapons, Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown. I think give it a few more weeks and the Falcons offense will start to come along. Hopefully, Grady Jarrett and the 3-4 will continue to build off what happened this past week. But, dude, this Washington defense has to live up to the expectations or at least show improvement from these past 3 weeks. I expect Atlanta to want to march downfield in that first drive, and that's going to be the biggest indication as to how they're playing this game. Chase Young was on the radio earlier. He mentioned urgency. Let's see if they bring it. I still got Atlanta this week. Maybe that's my fan hat. But, again, game can go either way.
It can go either way. I feel like if you're a Washington football team fan, there's no confidence going into this game. You shouldn't feel confident. You shouldn't feel like you can beat any team is a gimme. You shouldn't feel that way. And if this game go either way, you're on the road, you're in Atlanta. That's what it is. You're on the road, you're in Atlanta.
In a dome, controlled environment.
Might be open. It's retractable, baby.
I mean, the thing that you have going for you is that, obviously we can look at the offensive line compared to the defensive line, whatever, but the defensive line hasn't really gotten constant pressure. The only thing that you can, if you're a Washington fan, it's hope. Like you're hoping that you see a different game plan. That's the only thing that you're hoping for. You're hoping that, like Ray, you mentioned, Atlanta putting pressure on blitzing Heineke, but on the flip side, that's what you want Washington to do with Matt Ryan. You want to make Matt Ryan uncomfortable. So you're hoping that you do the same thing. If your offensive line is weak and you're going against a defensive unit, a defensive front that has talent. Forget what they're producing; they have talent. And you bring extra bodies, and you're going to act like any quarterback. You're going to make them feel uncomfortable. So that's what, if you're a Washington fan, that's what you're hoping for. But again, you can hope all you want, but you've seen the same thing over and over again. This coaching staff refuses to make those adjustments, so you can only go off of what you've seen.
I mean, Washington has the more considerable mismatches. There's nobody in Atlanta that can do anything with Terry McLaurin. There is the offensive line. The Washington offensive line should dominate the Atlanta defensive line. I don't know a name on there outside of Jared on there, right? So they should be able to contain him and give him the attention that he so deserves. But outside of that, they don't have much in the secondary. AJ Terrell hasn't really produced much since he came out of Clemson.
Isaiah Oliver is having a good season. Fabian Moreau is actually playing well.
I seen Fabian break up a ball last week. Yeah. So I know they're a young team.
Yeah, I like
a bunch of
Fabian.
Castaways and a bunch of not household names that people know.
Yeah,
Deion Jones a household.
Washington commits to the run.
I like Deion Jones.
No, Deion Jones has been good. He's been good. I wouldn't say last year was his best year. I wouldn't say it was even close to his best year.
Coming off injury, no, not at all.
But he's pretty solid. He's pretty solid, right?
Yeah, I don't like. For me, like I like Fabian. I've always liked Fabian. But Fabian didn't start the season off right. But I didn't watch the game with the Giants. I saw the game against the Eagles. I saw the game against the Niners, and people keep texting me anytime Fabian gets burnt, so it bothers me. But they do. I'm like, okay, what your point is? But there are matchups offensively, but you got to take advantage of it, regardless of whatever. You got to take advantage. I don't have an issue with Washington's offense in the aspect of them being prolific. I don't care because they're not prolific. They score about 20. That's about what they score about. They score 20. So, and they've seen 20, which is fair. They've scored 20 against whoever, like around that, like the Chargers, LA Chargers was probably the best defense they've seen, right? Throughout this season. So far, this part of the season. So, and they scored like 16. So I feel like they can score 20 against Atlanta. And no knock on anybody. They can score 20 against Atlanta. They can score 20 against whoever. The issue is not about them scoring or what their offense can do against Atlanta's defense. To me, the important thing is that how much can they limit Atlanta offensively? Regardless of Atlanta has been struggling, it don't matter. Like everybody gets right against this defense. So the goal is if I'm the defensive unit, you got to say it's on us. Like that's what it is. It's on us. Like the offense can score in the 20s. We've seen it already. The issue is
averaging 20. Averaging 22.3.
Yeah. So the issue is it's about the defense. So can you contain Atlanta's offense? That's all it is. But that's to me, that's the big matchup.
From what I saw with Atlanta's offense this past weekend, it shouldn't be a problem. It shouldn't be a problem. I do not think that the Giants have the caliber of talent or players or pressure the Washington football team has.
They have better coordinators. They got a better coordinator right now.
Yeah, well, that's scary then, Mo, because they got pressure on Matt Ryan. And
I mean, I just don't like. I mean, I know we had like 3 sacks or so. We had like 3 sacks.
Oh, did they really? I didn't watch the game, so I have no. Be honest, I did not watch the game.
I was flipping back.
They pressured him a lot.
They did.
Yeah, I was flipping back and forth. Especially after Blake Martinez got hurt.
Yeah.
They had to bring some pressure. They had to bring some extra men. But Washington should win this game. Washington should win this game. Like these are the type of games that Washington needs to win to stay pace with the Dallas Cowboys who are in the lead right now. Because here comes the Saints. They're not
gonna keep pace. Did you see that team?
I'm just saying. Here comes the Saints.
That hurts.
Here come the next 6 games. Here come the Saints. Here come the Chiefs. Here come the Packers. The Broncos under Teddy, and the GOAT is coming to town to avenge his so-called shutdown playoff game. So
it's funny. No, because it's funny. Ron, it's funny that you say that because Coach, I said Ron Ray. I'm like you now. Coach Rivera referenced like talking about the defense, talking about what you meant. We talked about it earlier about how this team only saw certain quarterbacks, right? They ain't see upper echelon quarterbacks, and Ron was like, "Well, people keep bringing up last year, but last year we went against Brady, and everyone says we had the best game against Brady. You know what I mean? In that playoff run, Coach Rivera, I won't say Ron again. Coach Rivera stated this, so it's funny. Like now you mentioned his revenge, like this revenge game for Brady. Brady looks better. He looks better this year than he did last year. So there's no need. Look again,
dude. This Brady is.
He look good, right? Don't he look good? I ain't gonna lie, he look good.
So listen, it's gonna be a long road. They better get it together.
And they got Matthew Stafford. They got LA too. They got Matthew Stafford too on this. That boy look nasty. Like that.
Nah, they look like the favorites in NFC right now.
They do. Real talk.
They look like the favorites in NFC. So,
but yeah, man. So we'll see, man. Hey, but what's predictions, man? I mean, Mo, you said Washington wins. Ray, Atlanta, I'm guessing.
Give me Washington in a close one. I got 24-20.
24-20. All right.
I got Atlanta 27-17, man. I don't think Taylor Heineke right now is capable of leading a team to putting up a lot of points, especially on the road. Although
what's again, a lot of points?
Atlanta. So
what do you mean like a lot of points? I guess I must argue. What's a lot of points?
Mo just said 24 points. I think that's a lot.
I think it's 24 points. I'm not. I mean,
of course, the dude is he's grown on me. I ain't gonna lie, he's a baller.
Yeah.
I know Buffalo and Atlanta are different, but I just feel like on the road, the pressure. I don't know. We'll
Buffalo's
see.
harder to play. All right, let's be real. Playing at Buffalo with the wind is harder to play than playing in Atlanta. I'm not knocking. Don't get wrong. I'm not knocking Atlanta.
And I don't trust Scott Turner. I don't.
Okay, so you got now. If you use that argument, I'm with you. I can't even care. That argument.
I don't know what it's like.
That's all you have to say with
Scott
Turner. And I'm not going to argue
He better run the football. It's against Atlanta.
So let me say this real quick too.
All
right,
he better run the football.
Let me say this real quick too.
If he don't run the football, if Scott Turner don't dial up, man, a good run game, it's gonna be.
I'm telling you, this is my issue. Like with Scott Turner. See, I'm about to trash this dude again. So, like, hey, bro, you know your defense is trash right now, right? And like, just run the ball, man. Limit them on the field. Don't put them on the field that much, man. Just run the football, bro. Run the football. Like, just run the football, play the clock game, because you don't want to have, for what we've seen, you do not want to put that secondary or that second tier unit in terms of secondary against Kyle Pitts and Ridley consistently. You don't want to do that. So limit their opportunities. So you have like you saw what McKissick was doing against Buffalo. Like his average pop, he looked good. Gibson. Man, I would run all 3 of them. I run the young boy Patterson, all 3 of them. Just run the football. Try to limit the opportunities for for Atlanta, and then run play action off of that with Scary Terry. There's so many, like, you don't have to try to. You're not Sean McVay, so stop it. Like, you're not Sean McVay, so stop it. You're Scott Turner. Your father was North Turner. You believe in balance. Just do that. Run the football and do play action off of that, and maybe you'll be more successful as a play caller.
It is. Wole, what's your prediction, bro? Before we get out of here.
Give me Washington. I think 24-20. I think it'll be a super close game.
Oh, same score as Mo. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I won't be surprised either way, fam, to be real. But to me, if on the Washington side of this game, you have to have, because Atlanta's not going nowhere regardless. So if Atlanta gets to 2-2, that's dope. But you got Carolina now looking good in the division, dude.
Yeah, they're great.
You're gonna finish last
Carolina's
most likely.
Finished. So I said it here. Carolina's finished.
Watch. We mean it
Watch
finished.
Carolina. Watch Carolina the next couple of weeks.
Why? Because McCaffrey's down?
He's hurt. JC Horn is hurt.
That's a big one. Horn is a big one.
Horn is good too.
But I still think they'll be competitive.
They coach well too. They coach well too, man.
They're coached so well. That's why I think they'll be competitive. Like the Giants are competitive most of the time.
No, they are competitive.
Yeah. So
other than the Broncos,
as long as you compete, that's what Wole been talking about. As long as you compete, but when you just get stomped over, that's what he don't like.
No. So, you can compete. No, I mean against good teams. You play a good team, you compete. I'm fine.
Yeah,
just compete.
Giants, the Panthers always compete. I think the Panthers actually will. Maybe they don't win as many games. Of course, maybe the streak, of course, ends in Dallas. I think it will, honestly. But still, I think they'll still play hard.
The defense is real, though, man. I mean,
and they can beat.
The defense is good.
They can beat the Bucks. They can beat the Bucks, Mo. I think the Bucks just don't look good defensively right now. The Panthers can beat the Bucks at home. Mm-hmm.
Tampa's defense overrated.
I think the Panthers can split
right now. This season,
Tampa's. But look, this is a Washington football team. So we talk about this later.
Yeah, we talk about this later.
I ain't gonna go there.
You ain't gonna go there, dog.
Anyway,
you know what I'm saying?
Good seeing you guys.
Good seeing. Let me just let's close this show out. You know what I'm saying? At least let's
Scott Turner, run the football.
All right. Subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. Search All Burgundy and Gold, everything with the Urban Sports Scene. Also, tweet us at Urban Sports Scene and hit us up on our Urban Sports Scene Facebook page. Appreciate you all for listening. You've been listening to All Burgundy and Gold, everything with the Urban Sports Scene on Fox Sports Radio, 96.9 FM and 1340 AM. Hopewell, Virginia, for ages. Yiddy and deuces. Hey, Mega, lead us out, big homie.
Peace.